This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Welcome, listeners. I'm your host, Dani, and I'm the first-time reader who's going through this 15-book series chapter by chapter. As always, there are no spoilers past the chapter we are covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host, Brett, who's a longtime fan of the series, and he's acting as my tour guide on this journey. Before we get into things today, we just want to thank and welcome Shaidar Haran to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. Thank you so much for your generosity, and we really appreciate your support. In this episode, we're going to be talking about chapters 40 and 41 of The Great Hunt.
Yeah, so chapter 40 is Damane and 41 is Disagreements.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Lots of stuff.
You know, the end of this book has not been going my way.
It's kind of funny because, like, the last 10 chapters of The Eye of the World is, like, it is definitely, like, a ramp up.
Yeah. I would say this is a ramp up.
Yeah.
But, like, emotionally, this is very difficult for me.
Yeah, bad things happen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're really getting close to the end of the book, and all of these bad things are just, like, still happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. We never said that this book was going to end well. But it is going to end.
Oh, no.
So.
Okay, let's get into talking about this, because I need a little bit of therapy about this chapter 40 in particular.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, 40 is, like, where all the action happens for sure.
Yeah.
And we can definitely dive into it.
Okay.
So this fun fact I've been saving till we get to a more Shanshan-centric chapter.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about accents.
Ooh.
Yeah, because in the Wheel of Time, all the different cultures, you can kind of speculate what people probably sound like.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of figure out, like, Andorans are probably different from the Kyrianans, are different from the Terrans and everything. But the Wheel of Time community kind of put together a list of, like, what people probably sound like and what accents they can go with. So, like, the Two Rivers people probably are, like, English or Irish because the whole Andor thing. The Ilianers people figured out that they're probably...
Pirates.
Yeah, like more of a Dutch accent. So I guess Dutch people are pirates, but that's okay.
No, I'd go straight pirates. Yeah.
But I want to talk specifically about the Shanshan.
Yeah.
Because this is straight from an interview with Robert Jordan.
Oh, nice, because of their slurred speech
Yeah.
that no one can barely understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So according to Robert Jordan, the Shanshan accent is supposed to be a Texas drawl.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a really...
Yeah,
really
southern,
drawl
yes,
accent.
100%. Okay. So it's kind of really funny and shocking because...
Like molasses spilling out of your mouth.
Exactly.
No, just kidding.
It's more like a Savannah
Yeah.
accent. So, but yeah, like if it didn't come straight from Robert Jordan, most people probably wouldn't believe it, but Texan.
Yeah, that one I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go like Eastern European or something.
Yeah,
but...
no.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Very interesting. Okay, chapter 40. Damane, and there's a picture. It's a new chapter symbol.
It is.
And it is the leash and the bracelet.
Yes.
Coil thing.
Which is called the, do you remember?
Adam.
Close, the Adam.
Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, when I read this chapter title, I could not have predicted what happened.
Really? Did you have, like, any ideas?
I thought they were going to encounter...
some. Okay.
And have to, like, maybe escape somehow or avoid them, or they were going to learn what they were, and it was going to be, like, a shocking revelation.
Yeah.
That's, like, where I thought this was going.
Yep, you didn't expect what happened to happen.
I did not.
So it turns out what's least expected to happen is actually the most surprising thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so it was surprising. Okay, so... We left off last time with Egwene and that crew running off through the waves with Liandrin, and they think that they're gonna go help save Rand, but things are bad.
Yes.
Things are bad.
Before we start, I just have to ask, do you have your Dark Friends sensor? I don't remember what you called it. Like your
Dark
siren?
Friend Watch.
Yeah, is it going off right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean? It's confirmed.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But that's the whole... It's like a big red blinking light above your head now.
And
being
you
like...
tried to really... push me off course. You tried to sway my judgment on this one, but I wasn't moving.
I didn't want you to go too headstrong into this, thinking Leandrin is for sure a dark friend.
Well, I've been thinking Leandrin's a dark friend from like chapter 9.
I know. I had to veer you off course just a little bit.
It didn't work though.
I was trying my best. Because if I just went with it, then it's like confirmation almost, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay, so in my eyes, from the beginning of this whole journey, things are bad.
Yes.
So we pick up where we left off, coming out of the ways, and they are here in Tom and Head. And so there are people waiting for them. There's a bunch of armored men, and there are the Damane.
Yep.
And their leash holders or whatever.
Soldam, yep.
And then some high lady sitting in a palanquin.
Yeah.
So these are obviously the Shan-Chen
Yes.
people.
100%. And just there's 2 extra Soldam.
Yeah.
So the Soldam or the leash holders, there's 2 extra.
2 extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because...
Yeah, Egwene and Nynaeve.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes. And so Egwene is feeling a little uneasy and goes like, Leandrin, do you know these people? And Leandrin just ignores her completely and then steps forward to speak to the lady, whom she calls High Lady Suroth.
Yes.
And she asks it like a question, like her name. She's like, are you...
Like
High
kind of
Lady
assuming, yeah.
Suroth? And then the lady nods and says, you are Leandrin? So right away we get that these people have never met in person.
Yes. But they have heard about each
They've
other.
heard of each other.
And this meeting was set up.
It was set up.
Yes.
Presumably by their master.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So Suroth says that she wants to get this over with before Turek knows she's gone.
Yeah.
And that's someone we know.
Yeah. So High Lord Turak is probably higher than High Lady Suroth.
Yes.
So.
Sounds that way. So Nynaeve is like, okay, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, it's kind of like disappointing because they're like really close to figuring out that something's wrong, but they never quite get there till it's too late.
Yeah, well, and even Egwene is sort of starting to feel like this is weird, but because Leandrin isn't agitated at all,
yeah,
she thinks this isn't that weird. Maybe Leandrin has set this up. She's clearly set this whole thing up, and she even devastatingly asks, are these people here to help Ram too?
No. Nope.
So, Leandrin says, these are the 2 I told you about, and there's another, the daughter heir of Andor. And then there are some ladies that start walking towards them with the silvery coils in their hands.
So at this point, did you like figure out that,
yes.
oh my god,
yes.
this is going to happen?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. And I go,
oh no! Just like slow motion.
Just much like when a mariachi band starts playing on the subway.
Yeah.
Little John Mulaney for you.
There you go.
So basically at this point, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And a man grabs Min and Elaine, and then everything happens sort of all at once. It's a shit show, and in the chaos, Egwene gets a collar put around her neck, and she frantically tries to take it off but can't. And then there's like yelling and gusts of wind and...
Yeah, and we do find out here that Min cuts the hand that's holding Elaine to free Elaine.
Yes.
So
I actually didn't get that here.
You get that later.
I get that from Elaine later.
Yeah, you get the confirmation, but you see it happen right here.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like, it's all crazy. And then Egwene makes a fist and punches the lady who put the collar on her face.
Which is an awesome
or
reaction.
on her neck. She punches the lady in the face.
Yeah.
And immediately feels like she was smashed in the head by like one of the men.
Yeah.
So it seems at first like this is like a brawl.
Yeah.
Like there's this like fight kind of happening, but no.
Well, there's the fight because Egwene does totally punch the Soldam in the face.
But then it's like she punches herself in the face. Like there's no man there going like, don't hit that lady.
Exactly.
Like that's sort of what it seems like at first, but nope. So then the wind settles and Egwene sees that Nynaeve and her horse are gone and Elaine is nowhere to be seen and Min is laying on the ground at the foot of a guy whose hand is bleeding and Min's knife is on the ground in front of her.
Yeah, the hook-nosed man.
Hook-nosed man. So the woman who Egwene is connected to by this leash tells her that this is her first lesson. Any pain that you inflict on a Suldam, you'll feel twice as hard. And because now she is a Damane, and a Suldam are connected.
Yes.
And Egwene is like, I'm not one of those.
But you are.
Now you are.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I'm so upset about this.
Yeah. It's really hard to figure out that at the beginning of this chapter
fucking hate Liandrin.
I've
hated her since like the second I saw her stupid with her dumb face.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not good. So
it's bad.
In this chapter we get like a lot of really good information on how the whole relationship between Damane and Suldam work.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the worst part about the fact that these are definitely like slaves, and they're physically kept and mentally kept by these leashes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it's like
these ladies.
And the ladies, in turn.
Yeah.
But it seems like the leash obviously is the magical connection.
It is. So. Yeah. And so the woman asks Egwene what her name is, but she ignores her and then calls for Liandrin and is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, and it's, again, like kind of disappointing that Egwene's not really picking anything up here from Liandrin.
Yeah, she feels betrayed.
Yeah.
And she's like, but like, why did you do this? Like,
yeah.
I get that you did this and this is bad and we followed you and we shouldn't have, but like, why?
Yeah, it's kind of like in my mind, I'd be like, oh, you're the Black Aja. You're the one you were telling me about.
There's a lot going on, and she was just like punched herself in the face really hard.
That's true.
Like
twice as hard as a regular punch in the face.
Yeah.
So.
And so this woman gets pissed off because Egwene hasn't told her name yet, and says, you must do what you're told, and then makes Egwene's skin like burn and prickle.
Yes.
Like inflicts pain.
Again, probably through the leash.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this lady says that she is a nice slave owner because she lets her slaves have names.
Yeah. Like keep their own names if she wants them to.
Yeah. And so Egwene says that her name is Egwene, and then the pain stops.
Good. All right, lesson learned. Just do what you're told.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like shocking and a little bit horrific because the way Rena, which is the Suldam's name, the way she interacts with Egwene is, as it's stated,
like
a dog. Like you're training a dog. So she's not like angry at Egwene for lashing out. She's not mad. It's just like, hey, you just got to be taught. You have to be disciplined so I can teach you.
Yeah. And so, this is when Rena says that's a good name and pets Egwene on the head like a dog.
Yeah.
And so Egwene gets told not to attempt to channel because she will never do so without an express command.
Yeah.
And that's something we sort of already knew.
Yeah, like it does seem like the Damane are the channelers and the Suldam are the ones who say, blow it up that tree or whatever it's going to be.
Whatever it is, Kill those people, do this, do that, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So Egwene sees that Min is like trying to sit up, but then they see like lightning flashes across the sky.
Yeah.
In the distance. And she thinks about Nynaeve and how Nynaeve got away. And she thinks that if anyone will be able to save her, it's Nynaeve. And she's not wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Like literally,
probably
Nynaeve's her only hope right now.
At this point,
quite honestly. Yeah. So Egwene glares at Liandrin and doesn't know why she betrayed them and thinks about how she will get her back.
Yeah.
One day, somehow, she'll do it.
Maybe.
I believe it.
Yeah?
Yep.
Liandrin totally just bails back through the way gate.
Yeah, she does. But it's not like, I'll get you back tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a someday.
Someday?
I'll make you pay.
I'll remember? Okay. So are you calling it right here Egwene?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm pretty sure that Nynaeve has the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make
they'll
you...
do it together, whatever.
Like a combination, like a 1-2.
Sure.
Okay. Get back at Liandrin?
Yeah. I think that those things, I never miss them in the writing.
Okay.
Because they are everything I'm going to take as a foreshadow.
Okay, so Liandrin will get her comeuppances?
I sure hope so.
All right.
That would be nice.
Wouldn't that be annoying if just Liandrin is never, gotten back at?
Yes.
That'd be annoying?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be annoying. You're right.
Yeah.
Good thing it's not going to happen that way. I sure hope.
Sure hope.
So... Surith gets out of the palanquin and walks over to Liandrin. And she says, you were supposed to bring me 2, but I only have 1. And now there are 2 running free. And one of them is so powerful that she will attract all of the patrols from all around. And Leandrin says, it's not my problem if you can't hold on to them.
Yeah.
My job was to bring them.
So I kind of want to talk about, obviously the words of what they're saying back and forth, but this relationship between Suroth and Leandrin, although it's like they share the same master and they're clearly here on a mission to accomplish something together because Leandrin's got to bring Nynaeve and Egwene and Suroth is supposed to pick them up, there is a severe level of like animosity between the two of them.
It reminds me of Boars.
Yeah.
That and literally everyone else in that room.
All the other dark friends.
There's that, like, air of superiority.
Yeah.
Like, I'm better than all of you.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's going to sit next to the Dark One, and I'm the one who's going to get all the power in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why, from the first second I met Leandrin,
yeah.
she reminded me of him.
She kind of, like, fits the bill.
She fits the Dark Friend bill.
Yeah.
She wants the power. She needs to know what's going on. And she needs to be in charge of everything. Yeah.
Now, it's also funny because Suroth has, like, that vibe, too. But she also has, like, so, Seanchan clearly don't think that channelers are people. Yeah. Like, they think that they're objects to be used.
Yes.
And Suroth has the whole, like, I'm better than other dark friends because I'm the best. But she also has that, you're a channeler, you're an Aes Sedai, I need to be leashed. Yeah. So she's got, like, a double edge to this approach.
Yes.
And Leandrin doesn't like that.
Well, and also another layer on top of that, the Seanchan also feel like they're better than everyone who lives over here in the mainland.
That's true.
Right?
But also Suroth, like, doesn't want to be found out that she's on this secret mission.
Yes.
Because she will totally get put in one of those silk bags.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Seekers of Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. So Leandrin basically says, if the patrols come, just kill them.
Yeah.
Who cares about that? Like, just chill out. And then she says, maybe our master should find someone else to serve him. And then this was the first, like, our master mention.
Yeah, yeah.
And right away I went, oh, the Dark One.
Yeah.
In case you had any freaking doubts.
At this point, I'll stop, like, trying to lead you off and be like, yeah, these two are probably...
Well, there's literally nothing else this could be. Like, there's no other, quote, masters.
There's no one who could make, like... Seanchan and an Aes Sedai work together to capture, like,
Egwene and especially
Nynaeve.
Because
like,
they go on later to talk about how much they fear their master.
Yeah.
Right?
It's good to note that probably High Lord Turak is not a dark friend.
No.
It doesn't sound like he is. He's not in on this in any way,
any
shape,
capacity.
or form.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like Turk. So, I do have to say, though, that my opinion of the Seanchan has changed slightly.
Okay, why is that?
Because of this whole slave thing.
Okay.
I understand that before I was like, well, whatever, that's just a small part of it, but it really sounds like a pretty big part of their strategy, and...
It sounds like a big part of their culture.
And it's awful.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad. This is really bad.
You can still respect the Seanchan for, like, their military superiority. Like,
really mysterious, and I'm curious about them, and I'm interested in them.
They just lost a few notches.
A few.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to readjust your stance.
Yeah. Okay. So, Surth says that she has to return to Falme, and she still could with 2 Aes Sedai.
Ooh.
And it pains her to see one walk free.
Yeah.
But Leandrin's face doesn't change, and Egwene can see that, like, nimbus glow around her, like she's about to channel.
Yeah.
And then Rena says, be careful, she stands ready.
Which is interesting.
So
that,
she
like,
can either see it or sense it.
She can, like, tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that has to do with the collar and the bracelet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if she'd be able to tell if she wasn't connected.
We do kind of get that, like, we get a tidbit of, like, once you've held a leash for long enough, you start, like, being able to tell stuff about people.
And, like, sense it in
Yeah.
a way.
So we really don't have a 100% definitive answer on how these leashes, like, transfer information.
It kind of reminds me about how if somebody goes to the White Tower for Aes Sedai training, but they don't have the natural ability.
Okay.
But they can be taught some things about channeling. They'll never be as good or as strong as someone who is born with the ability.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Confused.
Yeah, so there's, like, you're born with the spark. So, like, Egwene would channel no matter what.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who, like, have to be taught and trained. So are you saying that, like...
It's just reminding me of, like, if you learn about it.
Oh, yeah.
Then
if you learn about
sort
it,
of start to understand it and gain some of the ability.
Because we had, like, I'm trying to think, like, Morgaze, for example, went to the tower. She can, like, feel the source, but she can't really do anything with it.
Yeah. Maybe it's similar to that. Like, if you learn about it enough, then you can sense the stuff around you.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So Surth just smiles and says... You will make no move against me. Our master would disapprove, as I am surely needed more than you.
Yeah.
And you fear him more than you fear being made a Damane.
And that is not wrong, it sounds
and Leandrin doesn't say no. She just says...
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. She says, you fear him more than you fear me burning you to a cinder.
Yeah.
So they agree.
We're both afraid
They both fear him. But Surth says that their master's needs will change over time, and all the Marith Damane will be leashed eventually.
Yeah. Those are like the unleashed ones, basically.
Yeah.
The ones who still need to be leashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in the distance, a huge tree, like, lights on fire.
Yeah.
And Surth just goes... This grows tiresome.
You know, it's kind of, we find out later that was like Nynaeve lighting that tree on fire.
Yes.
Because she was like blowing up trees.
Yeah. But I find this interesting because she's bored as easily as, like, Turek is.
Yeah.
This land bores me. Like, nothing interesting happens here.
It could be like she's doing a power move of like, I'm bored.
No, I think she's actually bored. She's like, okay, we need to go. Like,
she could be like, I don't want any of these like patrols to be found, because how could she kill Seanchan patrols?
Yeah.
She is a Seanchan patrol.
Yeah.
Like, even amongst her ranks, that would be a bad thing. Yeah. That would get out.
Well, it would be like Leandrin killing another Aes Sedai.
Yeah, it's like hard to cover your tracks.
Yeah.
So she might be like, I'm bored, but actually want to skedaddle. So
maybe, but it's a good cover because apparently all the Seanchan are super bored of this land.
Yeah.
So she calls her guards back, and Leandrin says, but you must find Nynaeve. Her and Egwene must be taken to the other side of the Arth Ocean and kept there.
Okay.
But Elaine doesn't matter.
So, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Leandrin was at the Dark Friend social?
I think she was at a Dark Friend social.
Not the, possibly?
But I do think she was at the Dark Friend social.
Okay.
Mainly because at the beginning of this book, when we first meet her, and she is very interested in finding these 3 boys.
Yes.
And so, in the prologue, we got that they were introduced to these 3 boys. These like holograms, of these boys.
That's basically what it was.
And they got the descriptions saying that they're very dangerous.
And they all got their own separate instructions.
And we need to find them. But everybody there saw these boys.
Okay.
And so I think that she was there, and maybe this is part of like her instructions.
Is to like get Nynaeve and Egwene somehow to Tom and Head. Because we also got like the White Cloak, the questioner, is still like a mystery.
It's possible that she's been to another one since then.
Yeah.
Because I speculated that Dark Friend social happened like before Caemlyn in the Eye of the World.
So a while ago.
Because that's when all of the random Dark Friends were all of a sudden like attacking Rand and Matt. That's what made the most sense in my head.
Okay.
That
still very possible that there's like a secondary Dark Friend social.
I'm sure.
Or she got like a pigeon scent or something.
Or a dream.
Yeah, or a dream. There you go. Lots of forms of communication.
Yeah.
So
and he's getting stronger. He's able to like show up places.
Baalzamon,
Baalzamon, that's what I mean. So Surth just says she knows what was commanded, though she doesn't know why, and she doesn't really care. But she won't stay here to find Nynaeve.
Yeah.
She's not going to risk like her life with Turek because she says that if Turek hands her over to the Seekers of Truth, then her usefulness to their master will be at an end.
Yeah, it like doesn't matter. I'm going to be dead either way.
Yeah. So I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
And then blame you for the other one escaping.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's kind of funny because they each have to have like the last word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also am really curious about this whole Egwene and Nynaeve have to leave and not be brought back.
Yeah, so it does sound like they're supposed to be. So the Seanchan came over, right?
No. I'm just curious as to why the Dark One or Baalzamon, gives a hoot about Nynaeve and Egwene. Why are they part of some plan, and why do they have to be removed from Ranland?
The easiest answer, I would say, from like what we know now, we know that they're somehow tied with the three boys, and Shan-Chan is so far away, it's like remove them from the situation. I don't know anything else. Like, we don't know anything else why, but that's the easiest
Well, that's not
reason.
true. You
is
do
like,
know. You're just not
it's
sharing
like,
it.
Get them out of here.
I know.
Right?
And I'm not actually asking you for... I don't actually need you to do this
maybe
explaining thing.
There's...
No, I don't need this from you. I'm just thinking out loud, letting you know that this is something I'm curious about.
Okay.
So I don't need your sympathy explanation. It feels like a pity. I'm fine.
All right, fine.
So Surith tells Leandrin, there are patrols coming, and you can stay and search if you want, but the patrols will take you as a Damane, and it'll teach you a new life. It'll serve you right.
Yeah.
So Leandrin at this point just leaves back through the waygate and is like, "Okay, see ya." And then the soldiers who were looking for Nynaeve and Elaine return with like 3 dead bodies slung across a horse.
Yeah.
And they're wearing armor. So Egwene goes, "Oh, I know that was Nynaeve."
So Nynaeve did some killing.
Yeah, she did.
She got some.
She did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, she went up against, Damane and didn't get killed.
Yeah.
And she went up against a bunch of soldiers and didn't get caught.
Sure.
Like, we know she's super sneaky in the woods.
Yeah. Also, hey, with Leandrin basically being confirmed a Darkfriend here,
Yeah.
it's totally her who sent the Drakkar after Moiraine.
You think so? Okay.
Well, that's what makes the most sense.
Sure.
Because she, followed her.
It does seem that way, yeah.
And she's the Black Aja.
She is the Black Aja. Yeah.
Black Aja.
She's the one. You got it.
Anyways, it follows through.
Okay, well, we just know that there definitely were at least 2, probably Aes Sedai at the Darkfriend Social.
Sure, but this one, Leandrin followed Moiraine
Yeah.
to where she was.
Yeah.
In this secrety,
That's fun.
hidey
Okay.
place.
So do you think that Moiraine knows that it was Leandrin?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think Moiraine 100% knows that Leandrin followed her because Moiraine doesn't not know things.
Okay, that's true.
And right away, she 100% confirmed as soon as they were like, "How did this happen?"
She was like,
She was
Black
like,
Aja.
Black Aja.
Yeah.
She knew.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, I had to say that. So, Min now goes to sort of get up, and the man with the cut hand and the hook nose puts his foot on her back and says that he wants permission to speak because this peasant cut him and he wants to kill her.
Yeah, he wants to chop her head off.
And Egwene shouts, "No!" And Rena causes her skin to burn again, but she ignores it and yells out, "She is my friend." But apparently, Damane aren't allowed to yell out or say anything
No,
without
you're not
permission.
allowed to step out of line at all.
No, and even saying anything without permission is
Oh, yeah.
not allowed. So the pain stops as Surith comes in front of Egwene.
Which is a huge honor.
Apparently.
Yep.
So she says, "If I allow this peasant to live and allow you to visit sometime, will you work hard and learn as you are taught?"
Yeah.
And Egwene says, "Yes, ma'am."
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, Surth is pretty smart. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if you're going to enslave people, it's like keep a friend
Give
alive.
them give
them
them
a
some
little
incentive.
bit. Yeah.
To be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill them if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Like, it's a good system.
Yeah. Good as in effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like I
Not as in
condone it.
morally
I'm not
right.
morally condoning this. No, I'm just saying, she's done it before and it probably works. And Surith, just like Turak, they seem like smart people. Like, they're not dumb bad guys.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay. So Egwene says yes, and Min gets tied to a horse. And if Egwene proves to be a disappointment, then Surith tells the man that you'll get to kill Min if I don't like what this Damane's doing.
Yeah.
Basically. So they all ride off westward, and Egwene gets punished for speaking to the High Lady without permission, and then gets told when a Damane is punished, it's always her own fault.
Yeah.
And so Egwene is so pissed off, but she steadies herself and asks if she can ask a question.
Yeah.
And Reyna says, "I'm a nice slave owner."
Yeah, she's like a reasonable one.
I'm like the cool mom. I'm the cool slave owner.
You know, it's important to note because we've heard this a couple times that the Damane are passed between Suldam.
Yeah.
So although Egwene has a nice Suldam right now, she does need to learn this stuff so she doesn't get her literal tongue and hands cut off.
Yeah.
like by another Suldam who doesn't like her.
Yeah, that's bad. Yes, right now she can ask a question. And Egwene says that the High Lady and Leandrin were speaking of a master they both serve, and Egwene pictures a guy with fire for eyes.
Yeah, makes sense. It's those dreams.
Yeah. So she asks if Rena knows like what this master wants with her.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so Rena says that the affairs of the blood are not our concern and they're not for us to know about. And then she just goes off about how the Damane are like tools to be used. And even though they're valuable, they can still lose a hand or a tongue. And Egwene says, like, this is just horrible. What diseased mind ever thought of this? And then the other Suldam, who's like all pissed off because she didn't get one, says that this one could stand to lose her tongue already.
Yeah, before we get into this whole next little sequence here, because this is like really
story
cool.
Time, yeah.
Story time. I do want to kind of bring up this. We have Suroth, who's like probably definitely a dark friend also.
Yeah.
And we have Leandrin, who's a dark friend. But these 50 soldiers, these 2 Damane and 4 Suldam that are here, like these people, I can't assume that every single one of them is a dark friend.
No, I would say that none of them are.
Probably,
yeah.
Right? But Suroth is. So the Seanchan culture is so strongly like intertwined, and they have such good command that the dark friend leader, knowing that if she gets found out, is going to be put in a silk bag to basically die.
Yeah.
She can trust that nobody there is going to say anything, because Rena's like, hey, if it's the Blood's business and you see something, you don't say anything, you don't talk about it, you pretend it never happened.
Well, we also get that these people are quite violent, vicious people.
Like
and
they
don't really have much regard for human life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the well-being of people.
Yeah.
Because this is where we get the, like, if you talk too much or if you say something you're not supposed to, we'll just cut your tongue out, and you can still channel without your hands, which is also important to note. Like, don't need your hands.
Don't need it, yeah.
Don't need them. Yeah. But they'll definitely do it. So,
yeah, and
watch
it also
yourself.
kind of sounds like if you speak out of turn to, like, a high lady, for example.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a Damane or whatever, you might also find yourself without a tongue or without hands or without feet or whatever it is, right? Like,
yeah, who knows?
It sounds like there are these levels of hierarchy.
Yep, that you do not stray from.
That you just do not stray from, and there's a reason why they're so scared. Like, even the guy who was like, can I kill this guy? Asks for permission to speak.
Yeah.
Before he's like, can I kill this bitch who just cut me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's no, you don't lash out. You don't act out of turn. No. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
So we get that these people legitimately think that the Damane are too dangerous to run around unleashed. And we also get that the men who channel are just killed because they go crazy. And obviously they haven't figured out gentling.
Or they have and they don't care.
Yeah, mostly that.
Probably that. Like, they probably could, but they just don't care.
Yeah. So we also learned that the bracelet collar thing was created by an Aes Sedai herself.
Yeah, this is a really cool story time.
This is story time, and I'm leaving this one to you.
Okay, awesome. I'm happy about that. So for the story time, we get that. So Luther Pendrag Mondwyn, that was the son of Hawkwing, and he was the son who like went over the Arth Ocean to go find the land.
Who first faced the armies of the night.
Yeah, so like when they got to Seanchan, there sounds like there were Shadow Spawn, like what we call them as Shadow Spawn, over there in Seanchan too.
And he found many among them who called themselves Aes Sedai.
Yeah, and we don't 100% know if the Shadow Spawn, they probably weren't working with the Aes Sedai, obviously, because that's not how things are here.
Yeah.
But we do know that Hawkwing had like a severe hatred of the Aes Sedai. So probably when they went there, there's Shadow Spawn, there's Aes Sedai, they're all bad. So the Aes Sedai who were there too also were like vying for power. Because in Randland, we get the Aes Sedai who vie for power by they're the White Tower. Yeah. So like same deal, but over there. But then there's one Aes Sedai named Diane. Yeah. And she thought that she could do better serving the Emperor, who wasn't an emperor yet, but she thought she could get more power by serving him instead. And since he had no Aes Sedai in his armies, because obviously Hawkwing and his people didn't like Aes Sedai, she came with a device called an Adam, and she had it fastened to the neck of one of her Aes Sedai sisters, and was like, hey, you can control Aes Sedai with this cool leash that I'm going to give you.
So she was evil.
She was a bad person. Yeah. Definitely not
like,
cool.
Like, who's like, I'm just going to strap this to you and control you.
Yep.
That's bad.
Yeah, so that's definitely really bad. And the Adam forces you to serve, and then Diane made more of these Adam, and then the Seanchan found the first Suldam, the people who are like the leash holders, and then they started capturing all the Aes Sedai. And then eventually, Diane was turned into a Damane herself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like your comeuppance has come.
Ended. Yeah.
Like, you got yours in the end, basically. And then we get a nice little reference here, and her screams shook the towers of midnight. Yeah. We don't know what that is.
No.
And then to end the story, we get that if Egwene has the ability to make Adam, so like you can create them, then she's going to be pampered. So that's probably like a rare trait that some channelers have.
I bet it's not that rare.
What do you mean?
I think that making these, I think any Aes Sedai could probably do it, and they don't. Because they're not evil people.
What do you mean?
Like the Damane.
Okay.
These people who can channel, who are leashed.
Yeah.
I would say that the majority of Aes Sedai, this is just my own personal thoughts and opinions on this, but I would say that they probably have the ability to create this thing.
Okay.
It's probably an already like made device that you like put magic into somehow.
Okay.
And I bet they could figure it out, and they just don't, because that means that they could enslave more people.
Okay, but here's a question. So you think that Damane could willfully not do something that a Suldam tells her to do?
Right.
We saw Egwene.
Yeah, we do see that.
Yeah, we get a lot of evidence in this chapter that if they want you to do something, they will literally just torture you until you do it.
Yeah.
So you think that they're just going to be like, no, I'm not going to make one?
No.
Okay. Just think about that.
I know.
Okay.
I know, but...
I get what you're saying. Like, definitely you wouldn't want to, because, like, why would you want to make a leash that's going to help capture more people that you're captured? But... Yeah. So that was just my opinion on it, but you're probably right. That because she couldn't even, like, lie about... Like, trying to channel. So... But I do want you to kind of, like, keep that idea in mind as we move forward. Okay. Because that's actually a really good point you made.
Okay.
Like, really good. Keep it in the back of your mind about that.
Okay. Okay. We also get a little bit of a tidbit here that all Suldam are women.
Yeah.
Because men can't control these Damane, and sometimes they even die when they try.
Yeah.
Like both the Damane and the man die screaming.
Yeah. So apparently the Empress like plays the game where she'll like strap you on. Yeah.
Where it's like, this is entertainment. It kind of reminds me of like ancient like gladiator type. Yeah. Let's all watch this thing happen to people.
Like a lion's gonna eat you.
Yeah, and that's entertaining. It's like this entertainment they've created where it's like, these people are expendable to me.
Only the Empress is that rich, though, that she can, like, waste the money. But we do kind of get that fun piece of information again. It's like one of those nuggets we can kind of try and piece together.
Yeah.
Where she says that some men, like, it doesn't do anything. Yeah. And then some men, like, you both die screaming.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of when Damane bought that little Angreal, and, like, he couldn't feel anything, but the guy who sold it to him was like, hey, if you hold it long enough, it turns warm.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's, like, works for some men, but doesn't for others.
Maybe. It's kind of like how some women have a little bit of a spark, and others, like, have none, and others are really strong. I think it's probably the same with men.
Yeah. Sounds like that.
Okay. So, Rena wants to see what Egwene can do, and tells her to set that tree on fire or something like that.
Blow it up. She also tells her, like, how. So, like, she gives guidance.
And Egwene says that she can't. She's never done anything like that before. But the other Suldam says, she's lying. She didn't even try.
Yeah, that's Alwyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Egwene...
We don't like her.
No, we don't.
She's a mean slave owner.
Yeah. So, Egwene is told that she must never lie. And then all of the pain comes back into her body. She screams, and then like it finally goes away. And she cries into Bella's mane. And Rena says that the best Damane have a lot of spirit that can be shaped and molded.
Yeah, so it's like good that you're fighting back.
And Egwene will be the best one yet. And she, like, pets Egwene's hair as Egwene cries.
Yeah.
And
it's all very, like, kind of, like, surreal because you have Rena, who legitimately, like, the way the Shan-Chen are brought up, they don't think Damane and people who can channel are people.
Yeah.
So it's like she's training Egwene that it's good that she's got some fire. I'm going to help you become the best Damane ever.
Yeah. Wouldn't
It's
that
like,
be so good if you could be honored because you're so great?
and you get to keep your own name, and it's like really just like surreally terrible.
Yeah. So Egwene just thinks about how she has to get away and thinks, Light, help me. And I just think about how Egwene has already been a prisoner.
Yeah.
Before.
With the White Cloaks.
She was a White Cloak prisoner.
Yeah.
And she, I think, has a lot of strength, like, within her to sort of fight through this.
Okay.
Like, she's not going to give herself up completely. I think that she's always going to have, like, some sort of hope.
Yeah.
That something's going to change. And, you know, I certainly hope that this is just like...
just like a bump in the road,
Damane forever, and
Yeah.
now she's gone
Yeah.
out of the books. Like,
Goodbye.
I just can't. So, anyway, we get a scene change to Nynaeve.
Yeah.
And so this is nice. I'm really glad we got this because I was really curious.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve is, like, sort of hiding, and we get that she ran away from the two women who are linked together, and she did some channeling of her own to get rid of them. And she doesn't get how they work, really, but she thinks that one or both of them are Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
And then she thinks that she will have the pleasure of telling Sheriam about them because Aes Sedai don't use the power as a weapon.
Yeah, so, like, this we got to talk about because this is kind of, like, really not good logic in my mind for what Nynaeve's thinking.
Yeah.
Because she kind of sounds like she wants to tell Sheriam about this to, like, stick it to her and be like, see, Aes Sedai use the power as a weapon. Mm-hmm. But, like, does Nynaeve legitimately think that these Shan-Chen women who can channel are actually the same
Aes
equivalent
Sedai
as Aes
of
Sedai
the
of the
White
White Tower?
Tower?
Yeah, it's like they're totally... Yeah, they can channel.
They've, like, taken oaths and...
Yeah, so it's like, what's your logic here? But again, Nynaeve is just...
Nynaeve is bad with the logic when she's feeling super emotional,
She's
which
trying to...
is always.
Plus, she's trying to, like, stick it to anything that is Aes Sedai.
Ugh.
Because although she wants to become one, she only wants to do that to, like, get revenge on Moraine, and there's this whole deal
about using the power as a weapon, and she's like, see, these ones do it, so I'm going to.
Yeah,
like,
so it's, like, not the best logic, but, like, she is emotional, so...
Very, very. She is, I would say, the most emotional character.
Yeah.
Except for Rand.
Yeah.
Rand is super duper emotional and only thinks emotionally.
They are very similar
I'd say that
sense.
Rand is actually getting better at thinking less emotionally.
Yeah.
He's thinking a little more, like, logically about some things. I think maybe, I don't know.
Maybe there's some growth with Rand.
Maybe there's some growth with Rand, but we've also seen Rand a lot more.
That's true.
So, but Nynaeve is just so hyper emotional.
Headstrong. She'll take you on.
Yeah.
Headstrong. She'll take on anyone.
Good one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nynaeve is alone now, and she can't connect to Saidar anymore. Her connection is gone.
Yeah.
And she's, like, struggling to bring it back because she's not angry anymore. She's just scared.
And she can only channel when she's angry.
Which is bad.
It's not helpful.
No, it's not, because she's really, really crazy strong, but only when she's mad.
Well, it's a good thing that she gets super, super mad most of the time.
Yeah.
So, like, most of the time she can channel.
That's true. So then she sees Elaine, and Elaine says that there are two men following her, but now they're gone. And it's so strange because it's like they saw her and then a horn sounded and they turned and left.
Yeah.
So they follow orders.
100%. And we know why.
Yes.
Like, we figured that out.
Oh, yeah. So Elaine saw the man grab Min and the woman putting something on Egwene's neck before she ran away. And she remembers Min cutting the hand of the man who was holding her. And she just ran.
Yeah.
And then she scolds herself for not staying to help and says that mother better marry Gareth Bryn and have another daughter because I'm not fit to be queen.
Yeah, a little bit of spiraling, we'll
Dramatic,
say.
yeah. It, you know,
like, okay.
Maybe she's, like, in shock.
I could totally understand, like, if you were with, like, two of your friends and they literally got captured and enslaved and you just ran away, I also would feel bad, like, oh man, I should have stayed and done something better.
Yeah.
But Nynaeve tries to do the logic side, which is good for Nynaeve.
It is. And she
she's
says,
like,
don't be a goose. I think that Nynaeve is actually pretty good at dealing logically
with
when
other
it comes
people.
to other people.
Yeah, she'll call other people out on their...
Absolutely.
But it's hard, like, the self-reflection.
Her internal stuff, yeah, she really struggles with.
Yeah.
So Nynaeve says, if you had stayed, you could have been killed. And Elaine tries to argue that at least she would have been there and, like, died trying to help.
Yeah.
And Nynaeve tells her that she can't help
yeah,
by being
you'd
dead.
be dead. That's, like, the
and
least
so
helpful.
now that you are alive, let's go to Falme, and we need country clothes so that we will blend in better.
This is the best.
Elaine
I love this.
starts whining about not having enough money.
Yeah. She's like, I only have 10 gold marks and twice that in silver.
Yeah. And Nynaeve's like, don't be an idiot. We have enough to last for literally months.
I got the best line from Arrested Development. It's one banana, Nynaeve. How much could it cost? $10?
Yeah.
100%.
Nice.
Yeah.
So they set off, and they're both on Nynaeve's horse together. And they talk about how they have to be careful not to be caught or get too close to anyone. And Elaine asks if Nynaeve thinks that Leandrin was lying about Rand and everything, and then says, Aes Sedai don't lie.
Yeah, or do they?
I don't think so. I think I need to go back and read through what Leandrin was saying.
Okay.
Because I read through it with a fine-tooth comb the first time.
Yeah.
And it was very vague.
Okay.
And I think all of it technically was the truth.
So,
I do think Moiraine sent something about Nynaeve and Egwene.
Yeah, probably true. Like, that's easy.
Because when she was leaving, I don't even remember, the little town with the old Aes Sedai ladies.
Yeah.
She said, you're going to need to send a message to the White Tower for me. So we know for sure that Moiraine did send a letter to the White Tower.
Yeah.
So, like, that part was true. The whole part about Rand being in danger because he's being hunted, like he was before.
That's all true.
That's all true still.
Leandra never said that, like, Moiraine and her were working together directly. She was super vague and was like, oh, wouldn't you work together with people?
Yeah, that was
who
my
you didn't
sketchy.
like?
Those were all my sketchy facts.
Yeah.
The only thing I need to look back on, I think, is how she was saying that they can help Rand. Unless Leandrin believes that them being captured and being taken away helps Rand in some other twisted way.
Could be. Like, we don't know what her game plan is.
Or her
ultimately.
definition of helping Rand is.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know.
It'll help Rand get murdered, maybe. I don't know.
She just left that line out. Yeah.
That's the same way you, like, trick the lie detector test.
Unless she believes that, she was told that they can help Rand because in Beelzemon's mind, which we get into the next chapter.
Yeah. He wants to help Rand become...
He wants to help Rand.
Join the dark side,
and
Luke.
So it'll help Rand if you guys are gone.
Yeah.
It'll help him...
come to the dark side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So I don't know. I think because Leandrin is a sister of the White Tower and has taken those oaths...
Yeah. So she still has to be crafty with her words, but...
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
But again, they really don't get to that whole, like, they never outright say, oh, Leandrin definitely is a bad guy. Like, they don't really get that.
No, they don't.
It's very like, oh, what could have
like,
possibly...
she betrayed us. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And, like, how could she betray us? And...
Yeah.
Anyway. So, Nynaeve thinks about the oath, speak no word that is not true.
Yes.
And Nynaeve tells Elaine not to worry about Rand right now. We have to worry about Egwene and Min.
Yeah.
Because we know 100% that they're in danger. We don't 100% know if that Rand's actually in danger.
And there's nobody else who saw this happen. They can't, like, go back through the ways.
Yeah.
Like, they are the only people here,
So Nynaeve hopes that by the time they reach Falme, she can figure out how to get angry again instead of being just afraid.
Yeah. She's got some time, so hopefully.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah.
And then this next chapter, chapter 41, called Disagreements. And there's a picture of the dagger.
Yeah.
Which is usually a little bit of a Matt-centric.
A little
bit of a Mordeth-centric. And so, when I read through this, I'm still a little bit confused as to the dagger picture.
Okay.
Except for the fact that Matt really, really, really needs the dagger.
He's running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot.
That's the only thing that made a connection to me, to the literal dagger. Now, I don't know what the figurative meaning of the picture is.
Okay.
But...
Well, maybe something will come to you as we go through it.
Maybe. So the last we saw Rand and that crew, they had used the portal stone to travel to Tom and Head with a few hiccups along the way.
Yeah, just a few.
But they made it there just 4 months later.
Yeah, and then
everybody,
living like 1,000 lives.
Yeah, and everyone's got some PTSD going on.
Definitely.
So, they are walking through the Tom and Head countryside. Not walking, riding.
Yep.
They're all riding through the Tom and Head countryside, and it's pouring rain. Everyone is miserable. Varen is lost in thought, and then Rand wants Varen to use her power to clear up the storm.
Yeah, this whole like in exchange is interesting because Rand feels like
he's like,
he could
I could do this super easy if
Yeah.
you just embraced sweet sighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's also interesting that Varen can control the weather to an extent.
Yeah, she says I could do something to lessen the rain, I guess, but then any Aes Sedai close to here would know that someone channeled, and that would be bad.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat that...
It's like that signal fire
Yeah,
business,
like channelers, the more you do, the further away people can sense that you're doing it. So.
Yeah. So we definitely don't want to bring the Shanshen here with their Damane, and turns out they learned some stuff from the last village they stopped in.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit more, I'd say, gruesome detail about really terrible things that the Shanshen did to get everyone to agree to obey and serve.
We also know that the White Cloaks are like around here causing up like trouble and murdering people too. So like it's all really not going well for the villages here.
No.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to tell if it's like actually the Shanshan doing stuff or is it like the White Cloaks doing stuff or like who's actually responsible.
Yeah, but at the village, it was definitely the Shanshan because they came with their monsters and their chained Aes Sedais and everything. So Perrin wants to know why Fane would bring the horn here. There is war and all the Shanshan are here and they're monsters. Like, why here? And he's like, Eeyore mode still.
They really just they haven't and probably won't grasp the fact that Fane doesn't care about the horn.
No.
At all. Like, he'd care less.
No. And especially Ingtar here, who says that there are always men who see chances for their own advantage in the confusion of war, and Fane is one like that. Which is completely accurate.
It is true, yes.
Completely accurate.
Just like not about the horn.
Right. So it may be that Fane wants to steal the horn from the Dark One and use it for his own advantage. Which is actually accurate. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So Varen says that the father of lies never lays simple plans. It may be that Fane wants to bring the horn here for reasons only known in Shale Ghul. Now I have to make a note here.
Okay.
Because Ingtar says maybe Fane wants to steal the horn from the Dark One, and Varen says the father of lies never lays simple plans in response to that.
Yeah.
So I'm still not sure about all of these nicknames and who people are and what the difference is between the Dark One and the Father of Lies and Baal-Zaman and Elon Tedranai, whatever his name is. Like, I'm still trying to figure out who everyone is and if there's more than one, or if they're all just one. And this exchange seems like the Dark One is the same as the Father of Lies.
Yes. The Father of Lies is a nickname for the Dark One.
But it's also a nickname for Baal-Zaman.
Because Baal-Zaman, a lot of the time, seems to be an equivalent or like hand of the Dark One.
Okay.
But we have gotten that distinction, like Baal-Zaman is not specifically the Dark One.
Right.
Even if you stab Baal-Zaman through the heart with a light sword, that's not actually the Dark One that you're killing, in quotations.
Yeah, but Rand certainly thinks so.
Rand does, but Rand's a farm boy.
Idiot.
Who has no formal public education. Yeah.
Anyways, it just seemed...
And there's a point, and at the end of this chapter, I'll point out another thing to you that might help clarify that.
Okay. So, Matt snorts here, and doesn't really believe any of this, saying that the Shanshen probably just have Trollocs and Fades, not other monsters, and turns out he is just looking terrible.
Sounds good. Looks terrible.
And it's almost worse that he sounds healthy.
Yeah.
They're like, this makes it worse.
You should be sickly.
Yeah. But Varen just stares at him while he's talking. And then he goes, well, they have Aes Sedai fighting for them. They can channel. And that makes them Aes Sedai. And then
we got to talk about this.
At Rand and says, that makes you Aes Sedai too.
Yeah. So
Light help us all. And then he laughs. But then no one seems to catch it.
Or does everyone catch it?
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Every single one of these soldiers like went through 1,000 variations of their lives, and like in all of them, Rand is always the same person.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance that everyone here knows about Rand.
Right. I'm just not saying anything.
Well, we get like immediately that Massima comes up and like looks at Rand and then like moves his eyes away and then doesn't look at him anymore.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, so like immediately he's like he won't make eye contact with Rand.
Yeah.
So Rand seems to be like the center point. He's Ta'Veren, he's the Dragon Reborn, he's all these things.
Yeah.
And all these guys just went through the portal stone with 1,000 variations of their lives. So it might be that all these guys here know a little something something now.
Right. Well,
And no one's talking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because why would you?
Well, Matt is. And
Matt is.
He is bad. He's being bad.
Because he was like, I'll never give you up. But turns out that Matt will just say whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, he just yells things out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad Matt. Okay, so there's another village up ahead here, and this one is empty. So when they get there, Hurin says that there were not Trollocs or Fane here, just people, but it stinks of killing. Now, this village, we're unsure if it was Shanshan or White Cloaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, a little bit hard to tell.
Yeah. So they go into this big building that obviously was once an inn, and Varen gets the fire going in the fireplaces, and Ingtar loses his attitude here.
Yeah, well, again, still? Is it still or is it again?
Still. It's just, he's still...
On a decline.
He's still doing bad.
And Hurin's still being annoying.
Yeah.
I have to find the horn. That's not the way.
Yeah. So he says it's been 3 days since they arrived here, and they'll never find the horn this way. He says it'll be another 2 days at least to Falme, and they have not found so much as a scent of a dark friend or Fane. And then there's a bunch of arguing back and forth. Varen and Rand insist that Fane is in Falme, but Ingtar doesn't think that makes sense, considering it's held by the Shanshan. Ingtar starts up with his I must have the horn business, and Hurin says that isn't the way. Whatever happens, happens, but he's just ignored. Rand
Poor guy.
Yeah. Rand says that he is riding onto Falme no matter what, and that is where Fane is. And if he doesn't get there soon, Fane will hurt Emmonsfield. And well, that gets everyone's attention.
Yeah, that's the first time he said it.
He hadn't mentioned that part before. And so then he has to explain that in Barthanas' message, that's what Fane had said.
Yeah, like I'm gonna kill everyone you love, basically. So.
And then Matt sort of says, while I do care about Emmonsfield, I mostly care about myself, and I have to find the dagger.
And to be fair, Matt can't do anything if he's dead. It's a very similar situation to the whole Elaine and Nynaeve issue. Matt can't help Emmonsfield if he dies in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so Matt says that Hurin is the best chance of finding the dagger, so he will go the way that Hurin and Ingtar go. And then Loyal says he's going to go with Rand because he doesn't really see how a few days could change things one way or another, and they should all try being less hasty for once.
Yeah, everyone just calm down.
Yeah. But Perrin says he doesn't really give a shit about Falme or like any of this, actually. But he doesn't want Fane to hurt Emmonsfield, so he agrees that Hurin is the best way to find him, and he wants to go with like Matt and Hurin and Ingtar.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we're splitting up, which is annoying. I don't think
I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, no?
It sounds like everyone's just like, Ingtar's just being frantic.
Okay. But Matt's like, I'm going to go with Hurin, and then Rand's like, well, I'm riding on.
They're all going with her. They're all going together.
Oh, okay.
They're not splitting up. Yeah.
Okay. It sounded like they were all gonna split up.
Yeah.
Okay, good then. Phew.
We don't have enough chapters for that.
I know. So Hurin says, I can find him, Lord Rand. I just need one sniff of him and I'll take you right to him.
Yeah. They just got to get that one sniff.
Yeah. And so Varen says that Rand has to make his own choice, but whatever choice he makes, she is sure will be the right one.
Of course it will be.
And Loyal says to Viren.
Yep. Everyone says, shove it, Loyal.
Yeah. And Uno comes in saying that the village is completely empty, and Varen wants to know if there have been any clothes that have been left behind, because she wants to dress them all like the local people so they don't stand out.
Which makes sense, because if you're going to go into the
Sounds
enemy
like
territory,
Nynaeve's
you
plan.
dress like them. Ooh, do you think that they're all going to run into each other in the middle of a town square somewhere in Falma? Because they're all heading towards Falma right now.
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing.
I can't make that prediction.
All of our main characters are heading towards Falma.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know the timeline.
Okay. Like some might get there beforehand.
It seems like that happened before Rand and them got here.
Okay. Yeah. Hey.
Just based
who
on
knows?
Just based on
the weather?
No.
Oh.
Just based on what Egwene said about losing Rand.
Oh, okay.
Like losing her sense on Rand.
Yeah.
And she never really was like, he's back.
That's true.
You know? So
okay, so
I
maybe
think that
this
they
is
got
like
here before them. That's my speculation. Some people have been telling
who
me...
you got to clarify that. You think that Nynaeve and Egwene got here before them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just said they before them, so I wasn't sure who the they or the them was. So Egwene and Nynaeve got here to Falma.
No, they're not in Falma
to
yet.
Tom and Head.
Yeah.
And then going on to Falma before Rand zapped back into the world.
Yeah.
So this is slightly in the...
Past. From the last chapter.
In the past from the last chapter.
Slightly.
Gotcha.
I think.
Okay. Well, we did get here that there was some, like, snow. And we had no snow with Egwene and Nynaeve.
Yeah, so it seems later.
Okay.
Yeah. People keep telling me that I have to lighten up when it comes to trying to figure out the timeline.
I've been telling you should lighten up for years.
Yeah, shut up. But, yeah, people are like, you're going to lose your mind.
Yeah, but that's the point.
If you keep on trying to... Yeah, but I can't. I can't not try to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
I'm pretty sure people 100% listen to the podcast only so they can hear you lose your mind.
Good.
Yeah.
Because it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not lightening up about the timeline.
Yeah.
I want to put the puzzle pieces together. That's what my brain wants to do, so I'm going to try. Leave me alone, everyone.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Okay. So Varen goes on to say that she wants them to swing wide, north and south, until we cross the trail.
Yeah.
That's the plan. But now, I have to say, I wonder if Varen knows where the Waygate is in Tom and Head. Because we know that Fane traveled the ways.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we're just wandering the countryside aimlessly, maybe we could think logically about where we know Fane actually came into this country.
Yeah, like where the steading would be, or the grove. Yeah, so...
Like, where would that Waygate be? I wonder... She knew where the Portal Stone would be.
Yeah.
So...
Well, she had been there, so that's the thing. She had visited the Portal Stone in Tom and Head before.
That's true.
It was one of 3.
That's true.
So, it doesn't sound like they know where the Waygate is.
Yeah, because if they did, that's where they should head to.
And that's why I'm saying it doesn't sound like they know exactly where it is.
Yeah, or just no one thought of it.
Or that.
So, Rand says he feels something pulling him to Falma. How do you say it? Falme? How am I saying it? Wrong?
You say it Falme, I say Falma.
Potato?
Yeah, let's just go with that. I've heard audiobooks, like I'm pretty sure the audiobooks say Falma.
Okay.
But...
Falme. What am I saying? I don't know which one I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Falma.
Falma versus Falme. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care what you say.
Anyways, Rand says there isn't much time.
This is a very Moraine thing to say.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like it. But the whole, like, something's pulling him towards it, that's new.
Yeah.
We haven't had him definitively say, I feel something pulling me towards this location.
He also is saying things out loud where before he would keep everything to himself.
That's true.
So...
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not.
I think it's good.
Okay.
So Varen says, the wheel weaves as the wheel wills, but a few more days can't make much of a difference at this point.
Yeah.
So Rand says that he's going to go get some sleep, and he goes upstairs to find a bed. He puts on some dry clothes, but there are no blankets, and he thinks about how the only thing he has for a cover is the damn dragon banner. But he leaves it in his bag, and then he rolls over.
And then, boom.
There's Beelzemon. So last episode, I was like, hey, Beelzemon hasn't showed up for a while.
Yeah.
Boom.
Here
Beelzemon. Here he is.
He's back in the world.
I summoned him here.
Oh, no.
I did this.
Well, if you say the Dark One's name...
He appears.
You draw his attention.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
It is, because I was like, oh, we haven't heard from that guy, or he hasn't shown up in a long time. And then now, this chapter, here he is.
Yeah. So it also doesn't sound like Rand actually fell asleep.
No, it doesn't sound like he fell asleep. I don't think this is a dream.
It's the whole portal stone thing again, where he didn't fall asleep.
Oh, yeah. This is Beelzebub literally just showing up here.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, this isn't a dream.
All right.
Yeah, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
So, Beelzebub is standing here in his room holding the dragon banner, and his backpack is all, or his bag or whatever, is all open.
Yeah.
And he's like yanked his stuff out, but I think he knows it's there because Celine went through his bag.
So he knows where it is because of Celine?
So he knows where it is because of Celine.
Is...
She confirmed the presence of the dragon banner.
New theory is Beelzebub somehow Celine.
No.
And he just dressed himself up all pretty.
Ooh, put some eyelashes on. No.
No, okay.
They're in cahoots.
They're in cahoots, yeah.
Remember how Egwene saw Beelzebub and a woman in white standing over?
I do remember that.
They're in cahoots.
I want someone to draw Beelzebub dressed up as Celine.
Yikes. Okay. I don't want to see that.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Like Celine all pretty, but then with like flaming eyes.
Yeah.
Or and mouth.
Like a Beelzebub definitely being Beelzebub in a pretty white
like
dress.
With like a scarred up face.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So Rand notes here that Beelzebub's face burns are nearly healed.
Yeah.
So that's like what Egwene noted in her dreams.
That's good.
To show that
good for him.
Time has passed. So Beelzebub says that the time draws nearer, Luz Theron. Once more, kill everything you ever loved.
Yeah.
And Rand says, I'm not the dragon, father of lies.
Yeah, so this is the sentence we need to talk about.
Okay.
Because Rand calls him the father of lies.
You honor me and belittle yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing where it sounds like the father of lies, the dark one, is not Beelzebub because Beelzebub is saying you honor me by calling me
the father of lies. Okay. So he says, I know you too well to Rand, and says, we have faced 1,000 times, 1,000 times 1,000. And that's from the Eye of the World prologue.
Yes.
We've heard that. So Rand says, what do you want? I will not serve you. I will not do anything you ask. I'll die first. And Beelzebub goes, yeah, you will. Yeah, you'll die. The grave is mine. But this time there will be no rebirth for you. The wheel of time will be broken, and the world remade in the image of the shadow. Heard it before.
Yep.
Boring. Get new lines, Beelzebub.
Same story. He hasn't updated his lines.
No, he has not.
Yeah, okay.
So then, though, Beelzebub tells Rand that this time his death will be forever. So which will he choose? Death everlasting or life eternal and power?
Yeah. He's got to come up with like a new bait because Rand
it's not working. And Rand's not even like as scared as he used to be.
He is, because now he attacks him.
Yeah.
Well, he's just straight up like, I'm going to blast you with some sardine.
Yeah. Because he stands up and blasts him with sardine. He hurls it at Beelzebub, who takes a step back, and Rand just keeps going. And just like going and going. And Beelzebub says, fool, you'll destroy yourself. And Rand thinks about Mat and the dagger and the horn and everything, and thinks, I can't die yet. And he breaks free from the power and falls to his knees.
So good for him for like disconnecting from the source.
Yeah. And so Beelzebub says, that's better, Luz Theron. And he puts his hands on the back of the wooden chair in the room.
Yep.
And whiffs of smoke rise between his fingers. And Beelzebub tells Rand that he alone in the entire world can teach him how to channel the power and stop the madness.
So this is still important for us because we still get here that Beelzebub is still on the like, let's get Rand.
Let's get together.
Let's work together. We can be on the same side. Like, come on, let's be buddies.
Yep.
He's not trying to kill him.
Nope.
So,
and he's saying like, you will die forever.
Yeah.
Or
join me.
Join the
dark side.
Do it, man. Do it. So Rand just says, my name is Rand al'Thor. And he closes his eyes. And when he opens them, Beelzebub is gone. And the banner is bundled back in his bag like it was never touched.
Yep.
And there is smoke still rising from the back of the chair.
Okay.
So
what does that tell you?
That tells me he was there.
Okay. But the whole dragon banner, is that just like some sort of illusion?
Yeah, that was an illusion.
Okay, he didn't like ruffle through his bags.
I really don't think he ruffled through the bags.
I can't imagine Beelzebub like putting your stuff back. He'd be like the, TSA at the airport who'd be like unpacking all your stuff and be like, okay, put it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do it yourself.
Oh, your underwear everywhere.
It's like everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, pack it back up, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just leave.
Yeah.
But no, that shows me he was still there. The dragon banner was clearly an illusion, and he can see what Rand's thinking about.
Gotcha.
Because that's what spurred the Beelzebub showing up, was Rand thinking about the dragon banner, I think.
Okay, so that's somehow, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of this chapter. Why was the picture of a dagger?
Yeah.
That's my question at the end of this, but I don't think I should think too hard into it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, probably because, like, we definitely need to get the dagger. That's the goal right now.
Matt's looking bad.
Matt's not doing so well. He's got, like, 2 weeks tops, probably.
Yeah.
Before he, like, kicks the bucket. So, I do have to point out one thing that happened in this last chapter, in the last page here.
Okay.
So, Beelzebub, once again, went on his whole rant.
Yep.
Join me, serve me, I'll teach you, you won't go crazy.
Yep.
And he says again, and we've heard it before, serve me, you've served me before,
Yep.
serve me again. We saw Rand go through 1,000 life sequences where he was in all sorts of different boats.
But he died every time.
He dies every time, and we never heard or saw Rand join the dark side.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Right.
He died from madness. He died being stabbed in the chest.
Yeah.
Like
by
all
Egwene.
these, stabbed by Egwene. That happens too. But like we never got any story.
No.
I'm not saying it didn't happen.
No, he dies every time, and every time he hears, "I've won again, lose Theron." So maybe this is just more of that father of lies.
He's being a liar pants.
He lies.
He's lying.
His pants are on fire.
Maybe.
As well as his eyes.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Pants on fire.
Pants on fire. Yeah, because it's kind of like an important thing. Maybe Rand has not ever served the Dark One.
Yeah.
In any variation of his life.
I would think that that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what would that really mean for the dragon?
For our protagonist to...
Yeah, like in any other story sequence or like variation. Like that's what Beelzebub wants.
Yeah.
He wants him to come serve him on his side.
Yeah. And to be like, you did it before, eh?
Yeah.
Come do it again.
But it's like, maybe
he's a liar. Yeah. Yeah, his pants are on fire, for sure. Okay, and I think that this is a good place to wrap up.
Sure. How are you feeling about this? Specifically the first chapter. Like, not a ton happened with Rand here. But...
I'm upset about everything that's going on.
Yep.
But I don't think I'm as upset as I should be because I'm too hopeful that she's going to be saved.
Okay. But...
I have no idea how. And that's something I don't like. But I just don't feel like this is going to last a very long time for Egwene. Yeah. It's kind of like when Egwene and Perrin were captured by the White Cloaks.
Yeah.
I never thought they were actually going to make it to Amador. Is that where the questioners are? Like, I thought that they would escape or be rescued or something before then. And so I was never that concerned.
Sure.
And that's the gut feeling I'm getting with this.
Yeah.
I'm not as concerned as maybe I should be.
Well, let me ask you this then. Maybe, like, probably Egwene's not going to get, like, killed off in book 2.
No.
Like, we're going to assume that. Because she's the main character and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what are the repercussions to her being a Damane going to be? Because we do get a lot of character development in this story. And when something this terrible happens to someone, what's going to be the effect?
I think that she's going to be, like, angrier. We've already seen, even as she's been chained for this, like, short amount of time.
So that's
we already saw her thinking about getting revenge on Leandrin.
Yeah.
Thinking about getting out of here. Thinking about all these things.
So that's kind of like the big question is, like, maybe not is she going to get free, but how is this going to change her character? Because, like, with Matt, we saw
I just want to see the plot. Like, how is she going to get out of here? That's what I care about. So
yeah, well, maybe you'll find out this book. Maybe you won't. Well, maybe. Okay.
I know. All right. But I think that that's a good place for us to wrap up. And I'm going to go read the next couple chapters.
Sure, yeah.
And I'll say that this is part of the pattern now.
It's part of the pattern.
Thank you for listening to this episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted by Dani and Brett, edited by Dani, produced by Dani and Brett, with Derek Benton, Benjamin, Kyle Smith, Joe Lott, Passion Socks, Moltude, and Mozyme. Music by Audionautics.com. If you'd like bonus content, like bonus episodes, outtakes, Q&As, more fun Wheel of Time talk, early access, cool stickers and keychains, and also to support us making great content, visit us at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Twitter at The Wheel Weaves Podcast. We love interacting with our listeners. Plus, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and tell a friend about us because referrals really are the best compliment. We'd really love for you to come over and join our Discord channel for some spoiler or spoiler-free discussions. You can find the links at our Twitter page as well as on our Patreon page. Thanks again for tuning in because this really is part of the pattern now.